It's Hump Day. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. I'm your host, Maddie Margarita, here with our tech wizard, Diana Pardine. Every Wednesday at 10 a.m., the Southern California Writers Association welcomes a new writer to talk about their book and their work. This morning, we welcome Mary Hill-Wagner. Mary is an award-winning journalist, professor, and author of the upcoming memoir, Girlz N the Hood, a memoir of Mama in South Central Los Angeles, to be released by Pact Press in 2021. Mary considers herself straight out of Compton with just a few detours. She and her 10 siblings were raised in South Central Los Angeles by a single mother. After graduating as valedictorian of Compton Senior High School, Mary went on to earn bachelor's, master's, and Ph.D. degrees, respectively, from the University of Southern California, Ohio State University, and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Welcome, Mary.
Hey, thanks for having me. I feel so good to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we're happy to hear about your book. I was reading a little bit about it. I was cheating. Do you want to talk about it? Because it sounds like a labor of love and a memoir and a tribute all wrapped up into one. So,
yes, it's Girlz N the Hood, a memoir of Mama in South Central Los Angeles. Is all of those things. It's a labor of love. It's a memoir. It's about growing up in some of the toughest neighborhoods in California, really, in the world, in South Central Los Angeles. If anyone wants to locate it, it's around the area of Manchester and Broadway in South LA. And also I grew up partly in Compton. And this began as an essay. Many years ago, I had this wonderful professor who had us write about the person we most admire. And when I came back with my essay, I was kind of surprised to hear everybody else's essay. They were essays. They were writing about people like Thomas Jefferson, and some people wrote about the professor, I'm sure, just to kiss up or whatever. Almost no one wrote about their parents. And I had written about my mother because I admired her. So she's just a good, decent, loving, warm person. And so the professor, he read the essay and he said, this could be a book. And I said, well, a book. And so over the years, I thought about it. It was always a sort of a splinter in my mind. It was kind of there. I was thinking, this could be a book. And I went about my way, studying, going the academic route for a while. I was a professor for a while, various universities. And then I was also a journalist for many years at various newspapers. I was a newspaper journalist. But I was thinking, I could write this book one day. And the same professor, he said, why don't you write me some letters but have the letters be about your mother. And so I started to do this, and I was writing him these letters every week. And but I wasn't thinking it was going to be a book. And one day he just said, you have a lot of information here, and you have a lot of stories, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned here from your mother. And finally, I decided this is going to be a book, and it's going to be a memoir, and it's going to be about my mother and how she faced so many challenges and how she still remained honest and strong and decent through all of these experiences. There were 11 children, almost a dozen children. There were 7 deadbeat dads of 11 children. Mm-hmm. And somehow this woman was able to, raise us and keep us warm, safe, and dry. And I thought, this is a hero's story. This is a hero's journey. And from the very beginning, I sort of begin the book in a very dramatic way. I'm just a small child, and I'm washing the dishes. I'm standing on a milk crate in the kitchen, and I begin it with this phrase that it says, "My mother was plotting murder at the kitchen table again." And, doesn't actually end in murder, but she was talking to one of her friends who had been beaten by her husband, and my mother was telling her she needed to fight back. She needed to fight back. She can't let this man do this to her. And this was sort of my mother's perspective. She was like caring of not just her children, but the whole of her community. And I wanted to write about my mother from that perspective. I'm writing about a perspective from a small child through my teenage years, through my early adult years, about my mother. So it's a memoir, but it's about my mother. I call it Girlz N the Hood because it's not just about my mother. It's also about my sisters. It's about me. And I wanted to write this because there's so many movies. Now, not necessarily that many books. There are a few movies about the boys in the hood. Well, there's Boys in the Hood. There's Menace to Society. There's Colors. There's this. There's that. And as I was watching these movies, some of which are really great films, I was thinking, where are the women? Where are the girls? You know, and it's the women in South Central Los Angeles that are actually holding up the world. And so they deserve a book. And this is that book.
Okay. So you almost had me crying there in the beginning. It's a little early in the morning, but I almost did. I felt myself tearing up. You know, I think anybody who looks at how difficult it is to be a parent and is close to their mother, you know, it can relate to this. I think that it's relatable on so many levels, even though it's an experience that not many people have gone through on their own, which is your gift in making it relatable, because it could be very dark. You know, going through some of the things that you were talking about, the experiences and scenarios, but you still have a little touch of humor that in this, in the voice. How did you find the voice to tell the story? Is the voice your story, or is the voice in the story your voice, or is it a kind of a voice at a distance?
It's not a voice in a distance. It's really close up. And the voice is more of most of it is from a child's perspective of seeing this, of seeing all of these things that are happening and having to process this and taking lessons from it. So is it my voice? I hadn't really thought about that, tell you the truth, is my voice or not. Originally, I wanted to make it from my mother's perspective, but some of the things my mother did, I don't understand to this day. And I didn't understand her, sometimes her actions and behaviors. So I didn't put it in her voice. So I think it's maybe the voice of, again, it's Girlz in the Hood, of the women and girls in these extraordinary circumstances and poverty in America. And how do you live? How do you survive? How do you rise with your dignity intact? And so it's that voice.
So it's a collective voice.
Yes.
Yeah. So right, I mean, this must have been an amazing experience for you, going through and thinking back and reliving those experiences and thinking about them from a different perspective. What was the most surprising thing that came out of this project for you?
The most surprising thing that came out of this project for me is that I think that, you know, for years, because there are no fathers, really, fathers in Girlz in the Hood, what you would think of as a father. And I was surprised that I still had that longing for a father. And even though it's felt, I think in the book, it's felt in its absence. I was surprised by that, because I was into this whole trip of, you know, I don't really need one. I didn't have one. I don't really need one. Even though there were 7 of them, they weren't really fathers. Right. I was surprised that I still had that longing for that, because that's a natural thing for people to want. People want an intact family, I think. You want a mother and a father, even though my mother was quite a handful on her own. there was still that longing. I was surprised when I got to the end of the book that I had that longing for the father figure, which is, I think, felt in the book through the absence of the father.
Interesting. And have your siblings read the book?
I have not given it to any of my siblings to read. I've given it to some friends to read, friends who were there with me and growing up. And I haven't given it to my siblings because they're involved in a lot of behaviors and activities that still, as adults, that I honestly, I don't trust them. So they're just, they have a lot of issues. And I just would rather,
not do that.
I'd rather keep away from their many, many issues.
So you have risen and come to this position in your life, and you have this wonderful memoir coming out. And when is it coming out?
It's going to be released in September by the Regal House Press. It's by Pact Press, actually, which is a subsidiary of Regal House Publishing, which is based in North Carolina. And it's coming out in September.
Okay, and it's available for pre-order, right?
Yes, it's available for pre-order. You can go to my webpage, or you can go to the Regal House page. My webpage will send you to the Regal House page. It's also available for pre-order on Amazon.
Okay. So now that we got all that out of the way, so now what's happening next for you?
I'm doing some fiction, and I'm very excited. I'm so happy to do fiction because honestly, I felt handcuffed in the memoir because I was very diligent about making sure that, that the facts were the facts, which is something that I know from journalism, yes. And but in fiction, you can make things up, and I'm doing a woman's fiction book, and it's called Grandma's Hand, and it's about 3 grandmothers raising their grandchildren.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So are you into it, or pretty far into that, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty far into it. I'd say it's about 2/3. I was hoping to have it done by the end of the year, but then there's so many things that came up from the publishing of this book, yeah, that I couldn't get back to it. But I was hoping to have it done by the end of, that was my goal, but it's not done by the end of the year. Hopefully it'll be done by the summer. And I'm having a lot of fun. Somebody should have told me fiction was so much fun.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
You got that out of your system, and now you're on a roll, right? Okay, so if you had to give one tip to somebody writing a memoir, what would it be? I mean, that's a hard thing when you have to be introspective and, like you said, honest. What would that tip be?
I would say, especially if you're going to write it from your childhood on, it's difficult to get into the child mind once you're an adult. It's sometimes difficult to get into the child mind. And so I say go for it entirely. Get into the child mind. Remember what it was like when you were a kid. Get up on Saturday morning, watch the cartoons, get yourself some cereal, something sweet.
little Captain Crunch, yeah, Fruit Loops, yeah.
Fruit Loops, get you some Apple Jacks, and sit, watch your favorite Bugs Bunny, and you know what? Watch the memories start to just flood back. Sing the theme to the Flintstones. I mean, get yourself into your child mind, and you will hear the conversations as if they're taking place right in front of you. So that's what I would say. If you're going to write a memoir, especially if you're going to try to go back as far as your childhood, try to remember what it felt like at the moment.
Well, the Apple Jacks thing brought a flood in. So I know exactly what you mean. Well, and I know that you don't have a book cover yet, but you do have your bookmark, right?
Yeah. This is and I'm going to be giving these away on my webpage.
That's good, right there.
This is the cover. I don't know, it's kind of sparkly. You can see it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
This is the cover of the book, and the artist did such a terrific job at Regal House doing this cover. And it says Girlz N the Hood, a memoir of Mama in South Central Los Angeles. And I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my publisher. I'm very proud of my agent. And it's been a long journey, and I'm just happy to be here.
Well, please let us know. I hope you'll let us know, keep us up with the events. Maybe you'll even be able to go and do a book signing in September. Wouldn't that be exciting?
That would be perfect.
Yeah, because we're all about supporting our authors, and we appreciate you being here and sharing your experience with us this morning. Thank you, and good luck on that, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so good to be here.
Well, I for anybody who's listening, Mary said she promised she'd check in to the comments section. So if you have any comments or questions, leave them in there, and she'll jump in there every now and then. And if you enjoyed today's bookshot and you'd like to see more of them, or if you'd like to see it again, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is SCWA Writers Online. So until next Wednesday, please stay safe and keep writing.